Hey, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another time out here. Welcome to another time at the book club. It's what we got to do Sunday afternoon here, 2 p.m. West African time. And we've been doing this. So we've been reading through our book, The Good Life. That's what we've been on. It's our sixth book in the series. And we're presently in chapter 9 of it. The title of chapter 9 is The Good Life at Work. The good life at work. Living the good life in the workplace. Right? We looked at good life as a whole. We looked at it in different aspects of our life. In the family setting, here we're looking at it in the workplace. And for most of us, we'll probably spend probably the biggest part of our life in the workplace. So if we're going to live a good life as a whole, it's important that we leave this part, this big part, also the good life. As we look at it, the whole study, it's 85 plus years study by the Harvard School on Human Adult Development, looking at the best way to harness growth, to be able to grow, in a way such that we'll live a long life and a good life, a long life and a good life, a long life and a good life, a quality life. We're looking at the length of life and the width of life in terms of being fulfilled in life, right? And we've said the result of the study is that what it takes to have a quality life, a good life, is relationship. Is having the right relationship in the important facets of our life and making sure that those relationships are healthy relationship. They are life-giving relationships. That's pretty much what the study found out. And we're looking at then relationship in different facets of our life, making sure that we're able to have those relationships and we're able to nurture them outright, right? So chapter 9 here, this is our third reading in chapter 9. And the emphasis here is having the right relationships in the workplace, right? Having the right relationships in the workplace, because it makes a difference to the quality of our life. All right. But pretty much we're here, our third reading in the book is our third reading in the book. And we've gone through the quote that pretty much runs through the whole chapter, which is about, sowing the right seeds so we can have the right harvest. We'll spend our time pretty much on that first slide, the first 2 weeks. Let's move on and go here. And Shola Richards outlines 3 pillars of respect that must be practiced in a positive workplace. It says that if we're going to have a positive workplace, we need to have 3 things, 3 pillars, which number one is that we should have respectful communication, right? Our communication must be respectful, and respect is mutual. It's front and back. Yeah, I remember coming back in 2016, and and I said that so often, talking about the fact that I treasure respect. But what I found on ground where people who would want to disrespect you or are protective of their own respect. They expect you to respect them, but they couldn't be bothered about respecting you, and they were all about a win-lose, and obviously, like I said, that wasn't a good time. It was a harsh, vicious, toxic environment, a place of work. Thank God things are better today. But if you're going to work in a positive environment, you need to sow the seeds for these 3 pillars, which number one is respect for communication. Today we talk about psychological safety. We talk about ensuring psychological safety in the workplace. Psychological safety is just that environment where people are free to express themselves without fear of being retributed, without fear of being punished. Obviously, that expression needs to come from in a respectful way. but people being given the opportunity, the latitude to be themselves and to speak out, to contribute, without feeling the sense or being exposed or in danger of being looked down on, or shut down, so we'll call it psychological safety. And that's made a difference for us in the workplace, people, either to toxic people, since that directive is coming from above them, have had to rein in their demons, to be able to work together. But if you're going to have a positive environment, a place where people can have a good life in the workplace, it builds that everyone seek to be respectful of one another. People are not carrying position on their shoulders or on their head. That helps. That helps, but it's not guaranteed in all circumstances. So one will have to talk about, where it is not guaranteed, how to still thrive in such an environment. But if possible, the other pillar that works for a positive environment is respect for the individual, which is pretty much close to the first one. The first one is that you're able to communicate. The second one is that everyone is respected for who they are. People are not trying to be force-feed you to be who you are not. We're all different. I love the personality. We at one point in time, we're having a lot of safety incidents, in the workplace, and we had to bring in a scheme whereby people are able to identify their personality, and that kind of helps, when you know who you are, your tendencies, your shortfalls, your demons, what makes you think, what fills your tank, what drains your tank, you know, that has helped. That has helped in no small measure, and for someone like me, that has helped a lot, because it's helped me to see that I'm not a strange human being, that God has people like me, as it were. And it's also helped me in knowing myself, to then know how to carry myself. But it helps when you know yourself, then you're able to then understand the emotions, the feelings, the interactions that are taking place on the inside of you, why you react or seemingly feel the way you feel towards some people as against some people, helps you know who you are. It helps you know whether you're an introvert, an extrovert, and just know your personality tendency. That helps, there's also respect for the team, so you see three words there, all talking about respect. Respect, respect for communication, respect for each individual, and respect for the team. So whatever I do, I know that I'm representing the team that I belong to, and I will not do anything to bring down the name or to disrepute the team or the department that I belong to. That helps, in engendering a positive work environment. And so Shola Richards finishes and says, everyone is important. Everyone is important. This typically is said by the company, but each of us needs to internalize this. That helps us to be able to have a good life in the workplace. That everyone that I see in the workplace is important, whether it be the cleaner, whether it be the servers in the kitchen, the cooks, security. Everyone is important. Everyone is important. Every human being is important. I cannot say that uh, uh, long enough, as many times enough, but everyone is important. Everyone can have a meaningful impact. Everyone is important. Everyone can have a meaningful impact. That reminds me of the cleaner at NASA. And someone went to ask her, what is our objective? Why is she here? What is our goal? And she said, to get the man to the moon, right? She might not be the astronaut. She might not be those building the rocket. She might not be those doing all the calculations, but she knew that she mattered, and everything that she does helps to contribute to the final goal, final end of the organization. That's where each of us needs to see ourselves. And not just that, the way we will see ourselves, the way we see our colleagues, that we are all important and we all carrying our own share of the weight to achieve the goal why all of us are there in the company, right? So no one is less important than the other. Everyone is important, and everyone then needs to be given their rightful due, right? Everyone can have a meaningful impact, and everyone deserves to be seen, heard, and valued. In short, everyone deserves to be loved. Everyone needs to be seen, heard, and valued. Everyone needs to be seen, heard, and valued. That's important. You know, when we come to the workplace, we're going to have a positive work environment. We need to remember that everyone is important, including ourselves. Everyone can have a meaningful impact, right? Everyone deserves to be seen, to be heard, and to be valued. That's important. You know, on Friday, I was just moving within the compound, and I stayed to talk to one of our contract people along with other people. And it was just running through my mind that I stayed back and focused on that person, right? That's important. That's important, to treat people as individuals, right? As much as you're talking to everybody, you must recognize each individual. That's important to that person. That also makes you important. That also makes you the person, or an individual. It fills your tank also, right? It shows you are someone with integrity. You know, you're someone with character, and you never know where you're going to harvest the seed that you sow. Again, don't forget the quote we're using to run through this chapter is, judge each day not by the harvest you reap, but by the seed you plant, right? You seeds of connection, the seeds of relationship that you plant. You never know when you're going to reap it. If you make someone that cannot do anything to you today special, that person will hold will hold him or herself, you know, in depth of you. And you never know when that person is going to pay you back where you need it, you know. But every day at work is an opportunity, a privilege to just show someone, let that person be seen, let that person be heard, let that person be valued. Because as much as you want to have a good life, you should then help other people to have a good life. The more people you help to have a good life in the workplace, the more opportunities you have to have a good life yourself, right? That's important, you know. So achievement is most meaningful when it is relational, right? It's, I mean, anybody can achieve anything, right? But you achieve it and you're still lonely. You know, I remember popular singer, let me not mention her name, you know, talks about after ministering to every other person, goes home and she's depressed. That's because she's focused on herself. Achievement is most meaningful when it is relational, when you see yourself as a part of a whole in trying to achieve something. You belong to a body, you belong to a team. It's not just about me, it's about us, right? We're created for relationship. Again, our essence is in relationship. Our essence is in our ability to connect with someone else. That's what fills our time. That's what makes us happy. That's what makes us joyful, right? So achievements are more meaningful when it comes in a place where you're able to walk through someone else or walk with someone else, when what we do matters to other people, it matters more to us, right? Whether we say it or not, whether we do it consciously or not, our tank is filled when we see ourselves exalted in the eyes of others. When other people appreciate us, it fills our tank. If it doesn't fill your tank, then you're not human. The way we're created is that we seek to be loved. We seek to be seen. We seek to be heard, right? Though in different sphere. For some people, they want it to be done in public. For some other people, probably want it to be done in private. But whether it's private or public, we all want to be loved. We're love creatures. We're created to seek love and to love. We're created to seek love and to love, right? And that's part of our engagement, social engagement. When we don't seek love and our love, we become lonely. Don't forget again, loneliness. It's a perception. It's not necessarily reality, but it's a perception that that which we need, we're not getting. The amount of social interaction that we believe we need, we're not getting. But when we do get that, when we socially interact to feel that vacuum in us, it kills loneliness. It feels us it gives us a sense of belonging. It gives us a sense of family. It gives us a sense of importance. It gives us a sense of being seen, being heard, and being valued, and that fulfills us. That fulfills us, right? There's also the satisfaction we get from sharing our personal success with friends and family. I know that's important to me. When I do things, I love to share my success. I love to tell people about what I get to do here every Sunday. I love to tell people how many people come along. I have 3 people logged on here. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. And I hope you're getting blessed. I love to tell people about my marriage community, what I get to do there. But that's the way we're created as human beings. We want to achieve and we want to be appreciated. We want to be seen, we want to be heard, we want to be valued, So our time at work affects our time at home, right? Our time at work affects our time at home. Our time at home affects our time at work. All right. It's our relationship in both places that form the foundation of the interplay, right? If I have the right relationship at work, it should be reflected in my home. If I have the right relationship in my home front, it'll be reflected in my work, right? Because we're spirit beings. We can't really divide those parts of our life, right? So it's up to us then to ensure that we have the right relationship in these 2 places because they affect one another, right? If I'm not having a good relationship with my spouse, it's going to show in the way I relate with other people in the office. If I don't have a good relationship in my workplace, it's going to show it at my home front. Right. So it then behoves us then to have a good life on both fronts because they affect one another. We'll typically talk about some bosses that are pretty toxic, and you go home and you find that they can't even talk, right? They're being controlled by their spouse. That which they could not express at home, they overcompensate for it in the office. Or you have someone that's been oppressed in the office, can't talk, but then that person is abusive in the home front, right? We need to be careful that we don't let we don't rob Peter to pay Paul. You don't, because of what is being done to you in one place, go and overcompensate. And like I say, hurt people hurt other people. You need to stop the hurt, right? Well, address the issue, address the relationship in both places, and make sure that you win, right? Make sure that you win. Go to the core of it. What you're having in that place, either of them might not be exactly as you wanted, but you can make it work. You can make it work. That's why we're human beings. That's why we're here to have dominion. That's why we're not trees. It's not for us to complain. It's for us to ask the question, what can I do about it? This is not the way I want it. What can I do about it? Obviously, there'll be things you cannot do about it. Yeah, don't have to worry about that. The question and the most important thing is, what can I do about it? And begin to do those things, no matter how small they might be, right? It's not the enormity of what I do, but is the importance of doing the things that I can do. Because until I do the things I can do, the things that I cannot do will not become accessible to me. But when I focus on and I do the things I can do, the things I cannot do will be taken care of by the universe, by nature, by the providence, right? So if we feel disconnected from others at work, that means we'll feel lonely for the majority of our aging hours. This is a health concern. So if we're not connecting in the workplace, which is a big part of our life, right? That means we're lonely. And like we shared earlier when we went through, talked about loneliness, and I think that's probably chapter 5 or so. Loneliness could hurt us. It could hurt us just the same way a pack of cigarette could hurt someone, and result in early death. Loneliness can become a health issue. So we don't want to be expose ourselves to being to loneliness because it can hurt us, physically in our physical health. That's why we're learning here about how to relate. You don't wait for others to come and relate with you. You take the first step. You take the first step. To relate, you have to be proactive. You have to be intentional. Either must have friends must show himself friendly. He must show himself friendly or herself friendly, right? So again, there might not be a lot of things you can do to do that. But the question is, what are the things you can do? Do something about that. Do something about that. And you can. You can. In every environment you find yourself, there's always something you can do to engage. To engage. Even if you're the only black person there, the only white person there, there's always something you can do. Do that, no matter how little, and engage. It might not be your preferred workplace, right? The kind of people that you like are not there, right? But make it work. Make it work. You might not be able to spend all of your time with those people uh if they don't belong to if engage them where you can. If nothing else, you can engage from a work perspective because that's what brings you together, then speak to each other's humanity. We're all the same at the human level, right? We all feel pain. We all feel hurt. We can connect where there's commonality in our life. You don't have to try to connect in the places where there are no commonalities. Look for the places where there are commonalities, right? And engage, right? So it's up to us to engage, wherever we find ourselves. Again, there'll be a lot of places we can't engage, but let's look for the ones we can and optimize that, right? So we find ourselves feeling lonely at work. It may be up to us to create opportunities for social connection to the extent that we can. And that's all I've said so far. To the extent that we can, it's up to us to do that. Don't give place to loneliness. Find something you can do together. Talk about the company's stock. Talk about the projects of the company. Talk about the goals of the department. Find something to connect with. Talk about the latest news. Talk about stocks. Talk about your children, their schools, their college. You can always find something you can connect with, right? So judge each day not by the harvest you reap, again, like we said, but by the seeds you plant, right? If we minimize our social connections, right? If we minimize our social connections and minimize the degree to which we open ourselves up to our workmates, it will minimize a certain kind of trouble at work, right? So, and some people do that. Like I say, I was sharing with a friend of mine. I believe last weekend was sharing, and it was like because a lot of issues going on in the office. She was saying that, oh, maybe the best thing is not to be too personal, in the office place, And I said, ha, yes, you might get away from the troubles by being less personal in the workplace, but you're also going to lose a lot of things. You're also going to lose a lot of things, a lot of benefits we can get from other people, just talking, just relating, just laughing together, and I enjoy it. It fills my tank, uh, it fills my tank, just to relate, to connect, and it does for everybody because we're human beings. Human beings are built for connection. They are built for relationship, right? And again, when you do that for someone else, you never know where you will need it. You are sowing seeds in someone else's life. If you help that other person to be seen, help that other person to be heard, help that other person to be valued. You never know where that person is. You're going to need that person also. You never know where your path will cross one another other than where you are today, right? A lot of people that I employed, I mentored, I trained, but this is 15 years after, right? They don't need me in that way anymore. I pretty much, in a sense, need them for some things, right? They've grown, right? But the respect they have for me is the history we have together, and we have a smooth relationship, right? I'm close to the door of leaving the company, and I see I have years in front of them. The respect they're able to give is because of the history we have together. When they could not do anything, I did not abuse the opportunity, right? I created the opportunity for them to be seen, to be heard, and to be valued. And today they feel indebted to return the same favor. I did not do it then because of what I was looking for. I just did it because of being human. Just being human. Just being human. Right? Just being human. That's all. You don't sow seeds because you want to get something. You sow seed because that's just what makes sense to do. Right? That's just a natural uh part of life. Yes, you're going to get the harvest, but you're not selfishly focused on the harvest. You're doing everything you're doing out of pure love, right? Out of pure love. That's important, right? It's not just important to connect with people, to relate with people the way we do it. It's also very important. The attitude with which we do it is also very important. We don't relate with people because we need something tomorrow. We relate with people because of love, just out of a heart of love, because we care, because we care. That's important. It's not because of what I want to get tomorrow, even though it's going to guarantee what I will get tomorrow. But why I do it has to come from a heart of love, a heart of caring, right? Otherwise, it would not be an accepted sacrifice. Otherwise, people are going to see the funny through it, right? So it's important to connect, even though it might cause some trouble, but what is life without trouble? What is life without contention? What is life without opposition? Right? Life is risky, but we're not going to avoid life because of risk. We need to manage the risk of life. Because I relate with people might mean that more people will know about me, more people might want to take me for granted, but that is no excuse not to relate. That is a risk. It's a risk of life. We manage the risk, but we have to live. If you run away from the risk, you stop living, right? But if we can potentially open up new avenues of trouble, indicating feelings of disconnections and but so when we relate to people, it just opens the sphere of possibilities in our relationship. And that's important. That's important. We don't run away from trouble in life. We manage the issues of life. We manage the issues of life. Even this morning at one of my alumni's WhatsApp group, our president sent something that was kind of, for some people, felt offensive. We'll manage it. We're all humans. We're going to make mistakes, right? We're going to say some things which will mean what one way, but it's going to come out the other way to other people. We're going to manage it. We're going to make corrections. We're going to cancel ourselves, and we'll move forward. We'll get better by it. We take it for what it is. We respond out of love. We settle in love, and we all get better by it, right? Our humanity is going to come out, but we're not going to we're going to assume right intent even when our humanity comes up, and we're going to address it in love, and together we're going to grow and get better, you know. So with each major transition, it never hurts to step back and reassess our new lives from a bird's eye view, right? How are my relationships in the work world and beyond being affected by the current change? You know, as changes take place in our life, you know, an unexamined life is not a life. It's a life. It's not a life that's worth living. Every now and then we need to assess our life. What am I doing? Am I progressing? Am I retrogressing? Am I becoming a better person? Am I getting lost? Am I responding well to the issues of life? Am I relating rightly? We get to examine our life every now and then, you know, and make the right corrections, learn the right lessons, you know, as we do that. You know, I get to do that all the time, you know. Well, I guess part of maturity. It's part of my learnings doing all of this. All of this, I get to see different aspects and have to practice it, internalize it in my life also. But we need to examine our lives, examine our relationships in the workplace. Are they appropriate? Are they within the boundaries they should be? As much as we're talking about relating, we need to respect one another. We need to have healthy boundaries, healthy and functional boundaries, even in our relationship. There are things I must not do with a married woman or with a married man, right? There are things I should not do with the opposite sex, right? As much as I love people, I have to respect who they are. I have to respect their family, their status, you know, and but at the same time, doesn't mean that I will not relate, but we need to understand the right boundaries. We need to also ensure that no one is speaking the wrong message in our relating. You know, what might mean one thing to me, I need to be sure it's not meaning something else to someone else, right? As much as I cannot control it, right? I need to make sure that I'm not intentionally giving the wrong message in my relationship, right? So there's a need to examine our lives, examine our relationship, and make sure that it's in line with our goals, our target, our vision, and who we represent as a person, right? So we ask, are there choices I can make to maintain connections with people who are important to me? Are there new opportunities for connection here that I am missing? So we're asking ourselves different questions as we go along. How are my relationships in the work world and beyond being affected by the current change or issues around my life? Are there choices I can make to maintain my connections with people who are important to me? Are there new opportunities for connection that I'm missing, right? But important thing is that we're making the right connections, we're making the right relationship, you know, with one another, allowing each other to be heard, allowing each other to be seen, and allowing each other to be valued. That we're not looking down on anybody, right? We're allowing each other to be seen, to be heard, to be valued, irrespective of who that person is, irrespective of what I can gain or not gain from the person. You know, I respect people just for being human, right? So when we retire, which I am close to, right? I have less than 4 years to retirement. says, when we retire, it can be a challenge to find new sources of meaning and purpose, but doing so is crucial, right? So I have less than 4 years, and I kind of put that in front of me. If someone says it's long, I think it's short. Yeah, only yesterday was 2020, right? With COVID and everything. This is 4 years after already. Before you know it, it's gonna be 4 years from now, and be time for me to leave the normal workplace. But I do everything today. I'm already practicing. I'm doing a mock retirement. I tell people, that you need to live your life such that when you retire, you're still alive. You're still able to connect. You're still able to relate. Your life is still meaningful beyond the workplace, right? You're not carrying, your ego is not ahead of your position. A lot of people allow their ego to be ahead of their position, so that when the position is gone, the ego, their ego is kind of useless. Their ego has nothing to stand on, right? You know, people think that they assume that they'll never retire, they'll never leave that position. Then they retire, and they have nothing to stand on. They have not built natural relationship. They have not built relationship on the human front. So when the position is gone, nobody wants to see them. Nobody wants to hear from them. Nobody values them because they don't more have that position. But we have to be careful that the people that see us, the people that hear us, people that value us, don't value us because of what we have or where we are or for who we are. Who you are will always be there. Where you have might go away. What you have might go away. Are you still valuable? Are you still valuable as a person? If there's nothing you can give, will people still value you? If you don't have a position, will people still value you? That's where we want to be. You want people to feed from who you are, not where you are, not what you have, but that your person feeds people. People respect you for who you are. That's life. That's life. That is life. You will never lose that. What you have might go away. Where you are might go away. But who you are is what is yours, right? Those who fear the best in retirement find ways to replace the social connections that sustain them for so long at work with new mates, right? And that's just because of you. If you build yourself, you'll be able to relate with people wherever you find yourself, because it's not going to be because of your position. It's not going to be because you're forced to be together, but your person, is what radiates the connection. And people at work and will still call you. You still have grounds to relate if you build yourself, rather than just depending on position, right? And all right. For many of us at a deeper emotional level, work is where we feel that will matter, and that's what I was talking about. For many of us, it's just work where we feel will matter because, for one, people depend on us for the position we hold. I was just talking to one of my contractors last week here. There was something they had done, and they were I was getting upset about, and just said, hey, let's throw all the companies apart. Throw the company I work for, the company you work for apart. Let's relate on the human level, right? We're all gonna leave our companies, right? It's not because I work for this company and we are the ones giving you a job. Let's work to help one another. Let's work at the human level, right? Let's work at the human level and make my task is to make your job easy. Your task should be to make my work easy also, right? It's not a position. It's not what I can do or not do. Let's just relate to each other at a human level, right? And that's important. One day I'm going to leave where I work. One day I'm not going to have the power that I have. Will he still love me? Will he still respect me when the power is gone? When the position is gone? when he doesn't need me anymore? Will there still be a respect? That's important. That's what we need to get to. We need to get to be people that are respectable. People respect us not because of our position, not because of the authority that we have, just because of who we are. That is life. If people respect you just because of your position, you're not living, you're dead. The day you leave that position, nobody's going to relate with you. And there are a lot of people like that who have retired and nobody's calling them. Nobody's picking their calls because they were too dependent on their position. They were too dependent on the authority they had. That was what defined them as a person. They did not understand the human connection. They had no value in themselves, such that when they left that position, they had nothing to give. They had nothing to give. Their personality was empty. You don't want to get to that point. That's not where life is. So for many of us at a deeper emotional level, work is where we feel that will matter to our workmates, to our customers, and even to our families, because we're providing for them. When that sense of mattering is gone, we have to find new ways to matter to others, new ways to be part of something bigger than ourselves. Each person must find their own way to mattering to others. And you don't want to wait till when you're retiring for this to happen. You want to matter to people for who you are, not what you can give. For who you are, not what you can give. You know, and I went through a time of depression, and that kind of one of the things, values I had learned from that is, you know, see people for who they are. You know, when you don't have what you used to have, then you know what people respect you for. So you're able to then sift between people. You're able to then put people in their rightful places. You know why this person is close to me. You know why this person is close to me. This person respects me because of that, right? And then you're able to protect your own heart also. But you also don't create that atmosphere where, you know, one of the things for me, as I grew up, you know, and I was still conscious of helping people, you know, part of that was a place of thinking of what people would say. So much so that I stretched myself beyond the things I could do. But thank God I'm bringing balance to my life, right? Uh, I bringing balance to my life and learning to say no, right? It's not about what I can give. That's not what I'm looking at. It's a connection. It's a relationship. And part of that also is connecting with my own self, relating with my own self, respecting my own self, loving my own self. Because I can't love someone else if I've not loved myself. I can't connect with any other person if I can't connect with myself, right? So I can only feed people from what I have. So I have to have something first of all. You know, it's important to love yourself. It's important to connect with yourself. You can't truly connect with other people if you're not connected with yourself. You can't really relate with other people if you're not related with yourself. No, so there is a place of balance, right? And you can only matter to others if you matter to your own self. If you don't matter to yourself, you cannot matter to other people. So it's not about chasing after mattering to other people. First of all, matter to yourself. If you matter to yourself, you matter to others. If you build up yourself, then there's something for you that you have to give to other people. If you don't have something to give to other people, you can't fake it. You can't fake it. You got to be authentic. Work on mattering to yourself. Work on being someone that has something to give, and people will flock towards you because everyone's looking for someone that can feed something in them. If people can find in you something that they want, something that feeds them, then they're attracted to you and there is a connection. All right, I'm going to stop here for today. I'm going to leave the last 5 slides for next week. You know, uh, the people we work with matter. You know, the people we work with matter. And like we said earlier on, you know, so therefore we should learn to see them, learn to hear them, and learn to value them, irrespective of who they are, irrespective of what their position is. You know, the way we invest in relationship and connection is that we'll learn to see them. We'll learn to value them. We'll learn to hear them. We'll learn to see them, to hear them, and to value them. And when we do that, we will get back, we'll reap the same harvest. People will see us, people will hear us, and people will value us, right? We have first of all go and sow that seed, see people, hear people, value them. When we do that, people will see us, people will hear us, and people will value us in return. And our cup will be full. We'll have the right social engagement. We'll have the right social interaction. Loneliness will be far from us, you know, and we will enjoy life. We'll have a good life in the workplace, good life at home, good life everywhere we find ourselves. I hope you enjoyed what we shared today. I hope you learned something, and but we'll finish this next week. We'll take it from here and finish this next week, God willing. Do have a great week ahead. God bless you. See you the same time next week. Bye-bye.